Genre: expository text. Gulf Spill Superheroes. Fans of comic books know that sometimes it takes a team of superheroes to save the day. Each one uses his or her special powers to fight an enemy or solve a problem. On April 20, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon drilling platform exploded in the Gulf of Mexico. Massive fires raged above the waters. Down below, gallons and gallons of oil spewed from a broken pipeline. Such a huge disaster would require the skills and abilities of many heroes working together. Responders in the water. Immediately after the explosion, firefighters worked with the U.S. Coast Guard to battle the blaze. Boats and aircraft transported survivors from the platform to safety before the rig sank. Meanwhile, scientists raced to understand what was happening underwater. Each type of scientist had a specific function. Oceanographers mapped out the ocean floor and charted water currents in the area. Biologists looked for ways to protect animals in the region from the spreading oil. What was most important, engineers discussed techniques to fix the broken well. The leak was more than a mile below the Gulf's surface. That was too deep for human divers to work effectively. For that reason, experts relied on robots with artificial arms and special tools to stop the spill. Many of their first efforts failed. After nearly 3 months, workers finally plugged up the damaged well. It would take many more months to clean up the mess left behind. Workers move absorbent material to capture some spilled crude oil at Fourchon Beach, Louisiana. Fireboats at work at the offshore oil rig Deepwater Horizon. Watchers from the sky. From the water, it was hard to see where the oil was spreading. Responders had to collaborate with other agencies, such as the NASA space program. Satellites in the sky sent information to scientists on the ground. Meteorologists tracked storms that might pose an obstacle to the response teams. Photographs helped team leaders decide how to assign their workers. Pilots and their crews flew over the Gulf region in helicopters and planes. Some studied how the oil slick moved from place to place. Others directed the placement of floating barriers to protect sensitive areas. Some crews transferred needed supplies back and forth between land and sea. Heroes on land. As the oil approached land, new responders leapt into action. Veterinarians dedicated their efforts to helping out marine animals such as pelicans and turtles. They would capture and treat affected animals before returning them to the wild. Naturalists and ecologists cleaned up the animals' habitats. Quite often, these groups' efforts overlapped, and they helped one another. Volunteers also helped out on many tasks. Local fishermen also needed help. They relied on crabs, shrimp, and other seafood for their livelihood. Government officials monitored fishing areas to decide which were safe. Bankers and insurance companies also reached out to the fishermen. They helped find ways to make up for the lost income from seafood sales. Biologists catch an oil-soaked brown pelican to clean and return to the wild. In Florida, experts worked together in a think tank. They needed to trap floating globs of oil before they ruined area beaches. They created the SWORD, or Shallow Water Weathered Oil Recovery Device. The SWORD was a catamaran with mesh bags hung between its 2 pontoons. The small craft would mimic a pool skimmer and scoop up oil as it moved. Because of its size and speed, The sword could be quite flexible, responding to spills. As we have seen, the Deepwater Horizon accident required heroic efforts of all kinds. In some cases, workers' jobs were quite distinct. In others, their goals and efforts were similar. The success of such a huge mission depended on how well these heroes worked together. The lessons learned will be quite valuable if and when another disaster happens. Workers place absorbent materials to catch oil in Orange Beach, Alabama.